serious?
Hi, it's me again. Today I'm going to drop some bombs, some heavy spoiler stuff, so if you haven't watched the movie yet, you should definitely stop here and come back after you do. Proceed beyond this point and you'll ruin your first round watching experience. Today I'm going to talk about Penny Fleck, Arthur's age, their apartment, and metaphors. I'll assume you know what a metaphor is. If not, Google it before you continue. Let's start with Penny Fleck, Arthur's mother. Penny spends all of her time at home, entertaining herself via television.
He'll make a great mayor. Everybody says so.
Oh, yeah? Everybody who? Who do you talk to?
Everybody on the news.
She has a very childish behavior and attitude. She says naive statements.
I can't explain it to you any better than that.
Why would he help us?
Because Thomas Wayne is a good man.
She's blunt.
Don't you have to be funny to be a comedian?
She even hides in the bathroom.
Does your mother take any medications?
No.
Penny doesn't take pills. Oh wait, she does. Here we see Arthur take pills prescribed in his name. Then, if you're at the theater or watch DVD on high volume, you can hear Arthur crush the pills in the background. Then he sweeps them into the oatmeal from the table, come to the living room while mixing it, and finally place it for Penny to eat. And here is the first time that Arthur comes home. He takes pills, opens them, and a couple of seconds later he comes to his mother with the meal. Arthur takes a lot of pills. Even his therapist says so.
Arthur, you're on 7 different medications. Surely they must be doing something.
People who take these amounts of pills feel like the pills themselves are practically a meal. For Arthur, a meal is a metaphor for taking daily medicine, and Penny is his means for taking it. And the fact that psychiatric medication is taken after or while ingesting food facilitated the link between food and medicine. Think about it, we follow Arthur for almost 2 hours, but never see him eat, not even once. Hell, nobody ever eats in this movie. Well, enough about food. Penny tells Arthur how to behave.
It's not funny.
Penny is the compliant part of Arthur, the part that endorses socially acceptable behavior, like taking pills when prescribed, hearing news, not killing, or making change by sending letters to officials. Penny is the embodiment of Arthur's inner child, presented as his mother. The child that believes that the world and people are kind. Well, she's a lot more than that, but in order to keep things simple, today I want to concentrate only on some of her aspects. Penny is Arthur's split personality and delusion. She's a delusion because she can be with him as a separate person, watch TV with him, talk to him, or dance with him. But she's also a split personality because she knows stuff that Arthur doesn't, like when she wrote a letter to Thomas Wayne, or when she tells Arthur about the news. You can also look at her armchair throughout the movie and see that the cat blanket never changes its place nor its angle. No one ever sits in her chair. Only the pillow that Arthur puts for her to be comfy changes place. Even her death is odd. Arthur strangles her with a pillow despite her having a nasal cannula, which would have supplied her with oxygen while Arthur strangles her. Well, even without nasal cannula, it takes at least few minutes for a person to die from oxygen deprivation, where Arthur stops only after 40 seconds. And the cardiac monitor doesn't just stop beeping when a person dies. When no heartbeat is registered, called an asystole, the cardiac monitor alarm goes off. But Arthur doesn't know these things, so in his head it makes sense for a person to die this way. Well, at least enough for a metaphorical death. And when that metaphorical death happens, he stops trying to fit in and starts acting upon his desires, even the dark ones. Now let's look at Arthur's apartment. He lives in apartment 8J. Well, at least it's what it says on the door. Because light from the streets is far from being so intense on 8th floor, and the angle would be very different. If we look at his apartment and appliances, we see that they look well worn, which fits with Arthur being poor. His apartment is quite big. It has a living room, a bedroom, a kitchen, a bathroom, and a couple of rooms we never see. Now, if we watch shots of the hallway, we see that the apartments are very tightly spaced. They wouldn't have enough space for all the rooms in Arthur's apartment. Let's see where that extra space comes from. Let's compare the living room and the bedroom for a moment. There's Penny's armchair, Arthur's couch, and a picture of Virgin Mary with Jesus in between. In the bedroom, there's a bed for both of them and the picture of Virgin Mary with Jesus in between. In the living room, there's television with VHS, videocassettes, and a rolling table beside, analogous to a television with a cable TV on a rolling table. Few pictures and drawers behind a television versus pictures and drawers behind a television. A table in front of the couch and a table with a lamp beside the couch, similar to what's in the bedroom. The table on the other side of the bed have been split into two parts in the living room, similarly to what I've explained in my first video. There's one small table that shows the location of the original, and the other that shows the design. It shows the ideas that it has. There's a lamp, his journal, an ashtray, a radio that symbolizes TV remote and a phone, which, if you remember, he doesn't use when he gets called from Murray's show. Also, there are the so-called painkillers.
I just don't want to feel so bad anymore.
Which are analogous to a gun that can also relieve pain, if you know what I mean. In this shot, Arthur's mother is already in the hospital, but he still sleeps in the living room. Well, I assume you're starting to understand what I'm getting at. The living room and the bedroom are one room, and it's Arthur's delusions that make it seem that there are two. Arthur's apartment is smaller than presented in the movie. He created rooms in his head similarly to how he created his mother. He even says on the Mary Franklin show that he's a loner.
What do you get?
I don't think so.
When you cross a mentally ill loner.
Arthur lives alone. He's a mentally ill loner. He got separated from his mother a long time ago, when he was a young child, after living in very dreadful conditions. But as children do after experiencing extreme trauma, he repressed the memories. On top of that, he created this loving mother image in order to stay sane in a world where his own mother created nightmare conditions for him. A world where he feels utterly alone, loveless, and perplexed. Now let's get back to Penny. Penny's childish behavior is not random. She acts around Gigi's age. I mentioned in my first video that Gigi resembles French name Kiki, which means double happiness. If you're familiar with the Joker, you know that he doesn't pick his pseudonyms at random. They usually have something that resembles him, something that shows connection. In this case, Arthur's mother calls him Happy. So Gigi is one of Arthur's projections of his childhood. This child presence is felt in many scenes in the movie. For example, the scene where Arthur attends stand-up at Pogo's. He doesn't laugh with everybody else because he was there as a child. He doesn't find funny things that grown-ups find funny. He laughs at things that a child would laugh at. He even writes like a child in this scene, with mistakes that children do. He writes in a more of a phonetic manner. You can read and understand what he writes, but there's a lot of mistakes. In this scene, Arthur is only metaphorically grown up. He felt grown up. He was making notes, trying to analyze, learn how to be funny and how to perform, planning for the future. His behavior in this scene matches behavior of a child Gigi's age. It's important to understand that the movie Joker is more metaphorical than it is literal, and it needs to be comprehended accordingly. I'll give you a few more examples of metaphors in the movie. Garbage is a metaphor for homeless people, mentally ill people, criminals, drug dealers, and prostitutes. These are people who would be called garbage by the elite of Gotham, people that the elite wants to throw away like garbage. Clowns are the low-class citizens of the city, people who are unimportant as individuals but necessary as a workforce. A dance is a metaphor for meaningful inner conversation. That's why Arthur dances either alone or with his mother, his split personality. Now I'll stop here, but I expect you to explore the movie for more stuff similar to what I've presented in the video while I make the next one. Just remember to think creatively and look for details. In my next video, I'll explore more childhood projections of Arthur and how they are interlaced with other ideas of the movie. I also want to expand on Penny Fleck, specifically her relation to Arthur's social worker. If you liked this video, leave a thumbs up. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. Leave a comment below and I'll touch the most prominent topics in my next video. And as always, good luck in discovering more things about this movie.
Hi. What's your name?
I'm Batman.